Please be ready for a dictation of exercise number 11 and 12 from December 2019 issue of Progressive Magazine. 5 seconds. Start. The real limiting factor in industrialization is the lack of capital equipment. The difficulties are of getting the capital equipment and special experience from those countries which happen to possess it and who have a surplus of it. How far it can be obtained, it is for you to calculate and the producing countries to decide. If it is not obtained quickly, the process of industrialization may be somewhat delayed, but it will go on. If it is considered right on the larger interest of the world that a country like India and other countries in the East should be industrialized, should increase and modernize agricultural production, it is in the interests of those countries that can help in this process to help the Asian countries with capital equipment and their special experience. But in doing so, it is to be borne in mind that no Asian country will welcome any such assistance if there are conditions attached to it which lead to any kind of economic domination. We would rather delay our development, industrial or other, than submit to any kind of economic domination by any country. That is an axiom which is accepted by everyone in India, and I shall be surprised if any other country in Asia does not accept it. We want to cooperate in the fullest measure in any policy or program laid down for the world's good, even though it might involve the surrender in common with other countries of any particular attribute of sovereignty, provided that is a common surrender all round. But a long period of foreign domination has made the countries of Asia very sensitive about anything which might lead to some visible or invisible form of domination. Therefore, I would beg of you to remember this and to fashion your programs and policies so as to avoid anything savoring of the economic domination of one country by another. Political domination, it is admitted, leads to economic domination, but an invisible or semi-invisible economic domination creeps in unless you are careful. If that creeps in, it will lead immediately to ill will and not to that atmosphere of cooperation which is so essential in this matter. In a long-term view, I suppose the most important thing is to develop our power resources. From that will flow the industrialization of the country and an addition to our food production as such. Measures for land reform will not create the necessary impact unless implementation is sincerely and speedily undertaken and the inputs necessary for increasing production are supplied on time at reasonable rates and in adequate measure, particularly to the small and marginal farmers. This will ensure increased production and better distributive justice. There is, however, little justification for confining such reforms to the rural sector only. The Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act appears to be a step in the right direction but is not adequate. In a developing economy like ours, the oligarchy of a few families controlling big industrial empires and wielding enormous money power poses a big threat to the country's political system, besides distorting its socio-economic base. I would earnestly appeal to all that a suitable strategy should be devised and necessary steps taken to control such concentration of wealth in the larger national interests. As a country that missed the forest industrial revolution and hardly caught up with the subsequent ones, India finds itself in the unenviable position of having to race against time in coping with the multifarious challenges of a population explosion and the rising expectations of its people. The war against poverty cannot be fought and won through a mere redistribution of the existing resources that are inadequate for feeding and providing jobs for the great mass of our people. We must create more national wealth through a balanced development of agricultural and industrial sectors for marching forward to new frontiers of true equality and prosperity for all sections of our people. Our plans for socio-economic development have created hopes among our youth, and they look forward to a better life. Our youth, the nation's most valuable treasure, must not feel impatient or apprehensive of the future. We need to effectively involve this vast reservoir of hard-working and intelligent manpower with the task of nation building, particularly in the rural areas. The draft 6th five-year plan sets out a new strategy for the creation of massive job opportunities through accelerated development of agriculture and cottage and small-scale industries. I appeal to all my fellow citizens, irrespective of their position or station in life, to participate actively in this challenging task and so assist the government in reaching the fruits of development to the people at large. A year ago, today, the country was in a relaxed mood, having achieved in an orderly and peaceful manner the restoration of civil liberties so dear to all of us. Against such a joyous backdrop, a few scattered clouds on the distant horizon did not seem to hold any particular menace now. Stop.